Electrical safety. Safe electrical working practices. Marine electrical safety. Make sure all electrical cables are physically inspected for any cuts, abrasions, or if they are immersed in water due to clogging extra. The same should be notified and appropriate measures should be taken to rectify or report the fault so that it can be repaired in dry docks. If any sparks are noticed, be sure not to ignore them. They could lead to fire, which is one of the deadliest enemies of the ship. It is better to nip this enemy in the bud rather than giving it a chance to spread. Always use intrinsically safe equipment, especially in places where the presence of spark can lead to disaster. Never leave the marine wiring having loose connections or joints without proper insulation. This is known as jury rigging or jerry rigging, wrong spelling, in nautical terms, and refers to temporary unsatisfactory repairs, as these could lead to problems and losses in the long run. When carrying out maintenance or repair on any equipment, make sure to switch off power from the main electrical panel, and also make sure to put a notice near that switch which says that, "Work in progress, do not switch on." This would ensure that no over-enthusiastic person would come and switch on the power without bothering to check why it was off in the first place. Wear proper protective gear when working with electrical machineries and follow all instructions, relevant checklists extra. Having understood the equation given in the introduction section, you will realize that since the current flowing also depends on resistance, if you provide an easy path for the current to flow by making your body wet or without much insulation, the current will be sufficiently higher than the minimum required value to harm you. Electrical fires on board, even on land, require special handling, and therefore everyone on the ship must be aware of how to react in case of electrical fires in terms of the fire extinguishers to be used and other steps to be followed. This can be drilled into the staff by carrying out regular safety drills which train the crew for such a situation. Extension cables should be secured properly without any knots of unnecessary bends. If possible, try to roll it up in a nice manner uniformly and store in a dry place. These few tips will go a long way to ensure that the marine electrical systems do not turn against you to harm you but act as your faithful servants. Steps to minimize the risk of an electrical shock and fire on board ships. Start with the first round of the day. Check all electrical motors, wiring, and switches for abnormal sounds, variation in temperatures, and loose connections. Ensure that all electrical connections are inside the panel box so that no one can touch them accidentally. In the accommodation area, multiple socket plugs shouldn't be used. Turn off the breaker, lockout and tag out, LOTO, before starting any work on an electrical system. Use ply card and notice board as much as possible to inform others about the ongoing work to avoid accidental starts. Double check the electrical tools like portable drills for any loose wires before attempting any job. Always wear protective clothing, rubber gloves, rubber knee pads, and safety shoes to avoid the risk of shock. Use electrically insulated handle tools for working or checking the electrical system. Before working, remove the jewelry, wristband, and other conductive items. When working or removing multiple wires, tape off all but the one wire you are working on. Try as much as possible not to work on a live system, and even if you do so by a professional, and work carefully with full concentration. During working in a group or pair, organize a toolbox meeting and discuss the procedure, risk, and hazards of the job at hand. If you don't know about the system, ask for assistance. Don't work without knowing it. Always think about your own safety and the safety of fellow persons while carrying out any electrical work. Electrical shock, direct contact with naked wires. Leak of current on unearthed body of equipment. Leak of electricity on wet surface. What causes an electrical fire? A short circuit is the most common cause. It can be prevented with a circuit breaker or fuse. A leakage current is another possibility. It can be prevented with an earth fault protection device. Lightning is a third cause. A surge arrestor can prevent your home from getting struck by lightning. Electrical fires can also be caused by localized electrical faults. These could be due to an overloaded cable or socket and improperly installed socket. Any of these factors could cause connections inside the wiring to break down, triggering a fire. How the connections gradually pull apart and overheat, burning the surrounding cable insulation and socket. This transforms the insulating material into carbon, which acts as a conductor and carries some of the current traveling through the wires, creating electric arcs. Eventually, the cable insulation and socket catch fire. The fire can then easily propagate throughout the room, spreading to a nearby curtain, the wall covering the furniture, and so on. Now you can protect against this kind of fire with the arc detector. You can stop the vicious circle before it takes hold to understand how the detector works. Let's walk back through our scenario. The connection pulls apart, overheats, burns the insulation and socket, which produces carbon. The carbon acts as a conductor and carries some of the current, generating electric arcs. This is when the Schneider electric detector steps in. As soon as the dangerous electric arcs appear, it opens the faulty circuit and isolates it from the rest of the wiring. The arc detector is installed on your distribution board, along with other protectors. It prevents electrical fires that were previously impossible to detect until too late. The electric arc detector protects against the causes of fire that are not covered by other types of protectors. So stop playing with fire. Ask your electrician to install the Schneider electric arc detector in your home today. It comes with a pictogram, making it easy to identify on your distribution board, and you can sleep easy knowing that you and your loved ones are safe. Electrical fire, overheating of equipment due to lack of maintenance, short circuit due to insulation break, overloading plug points, sparks due to loose connections.